Welcome to VAL'S Views Live Podcast. Real news, real talk, real views. Join us weekly for social, political, and religious commentaries, analytically dissecting viral news and more. When they mix it, we'll fix it. Unorthodox and unfiltered views. This is VAL'S Views Live, the podcast edition. Saturdays, 7 p.m. Watch it live in Jamaica on Hype TV and across the Caribbean. Stream it live on Facebook, YouTube. Don't miss it. Welcome to VAL'S Views Live Podcast. Real news, real talk, real views. Join us weekly for social, political, and religious commentaries, analytically dissecting viral news and more. When they mix it, we'll fix it. Unorthodox and unfiltered views. This is VAL'S Views Live, the podcast edition. Saturdays, 7 p.m. Watch it live in Jamaica on Hype TV and across the Caribbean. Stream it live on Facebook, YouTube. Don't miss it. Welcome to VAL'S Views Live Podcast. Real news, real talk, real views. Join us weekly for social, political, and religious commentaries, analytically dissecting viral news and more. When they mix it, we'll fix it. Unorthodox and unfiltered views. This is VAL'S Views Live, the podcast edition. Saturdays, 7 p.m. Watch it live in Jamaica on Hype TV and across the Caribbean. Stream it live on Facebook, YouTube. Don't miss it. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the VVL podcast. Saturdays, 7 p.m. in Jamaica, 8 p.m. in the United States, right here on Facebook and also on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going blind again tonight. You won't be seeing us on screen, but most definitely, you'll be hearing us. So Shelling Shells in the building, myself, Andrew Val in the building. Thank you guys so much. I see a comment came in from David. Big respect, of course. You don't know Anthony, long time with a link, of course. Thank you for tuning in. David McLeod and the entire Jamaica's Issues group. Thank you guys so much for tuning in wherever you're tuning in from across the world. Thank you so much. If this is your first time tuning in, please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also, you can follow us on Facebook as well. And of course, hit the notification bell over there on YouTube whenever you subscribe so that you'll know whenever we go live. So tonight we're talking about what's killing our teachers, the battle of the parties over rent to own ideas, what is monkeypox, and also our main discussion tonight is about raising emotionally and psychologically healthy children for the future. So we have Shelling Shells in the building. I want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in. We do this every Saturday. It's our podcast, and I think, for the rest of this year, I probably think I want to stay away from politics. We want to talk about some very, interesting topics such as bun and marriage and the man, them where I kill off the woman, them, and the woman, them where I take the man, them things. And of course, Shells, I'm sure you're aware of the gentleman who was given a slap on the wrist for killing a woman that he apparently was maintaining financially. In fact, he is a married man and he stepped out of his marriage to go and have, extra affair with a female. And then I guess the female take him for one big idiot and him killed a woman. And he got, charged with manslaughter. I mean, I really don't get it. This whole system in Jamaica is totally backward because how can a man murder somebody and then only get that? And then even admitting to saying that, she took him for a fool. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section about that and all these other stories. So what's killing our teachers? The battle of the parties over rent to own idea. I see the comrades are taking, the praise for this. Let me welcome Shells. Shells, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing tonight?
Thank you so very much, Andrew. I am okay enough. Yeah, big ups to everybody that's online and on Hype TV.
Well, we're not on Hype tonight, but
we're not on Hype. Oh,
no.
All right. We're just
only on Facebook and YouTube.
All right. So my Facebook and YouTube people, yeah. Big up to yourself and thanks for coming. And I know you guys will stay. Remember to share the link for the conversation that we're about to have right here.
All right, cool. So first thing first on the chopping board on the roster is something that I've seen recently, and where the prime minister announced that he and his administration will be implementing the rent to own idea. No, this is not new, and to be honest, I think Damian Crawford actually came up with this idea, and apparently the PNP had it as part of their 2020 manifesto. And here we are that the Jamaican government now saying that they are ready to look into it and they want to establish a rent to own idea. And, I mean, this is one thing, Shells, though, that I cannot, and I always say this: when will we be about Jamaica and not about party? Why are GLP supporters and PNP supporters arguing and fighting over an idea, an initiative? Oh, yes, Crawford came up with it. It was a part of the PNP's manifesto. All right, the GLP stole it, but who wins at the end of the day? Are we looking at who is going to benefit at the end of the day if it is implemented properly? If it is actually affordable? I really don't get what the big deal is. I really don't get what the labor rights are defending, and I really don't get what the PNP is trying to make a big fuss about. Like, it's about Jamaicans, poor
But
Jamaicans,
it
Jamaicans
has
who can't.
always been that way, Andrew.
But
Hello? It
that's
has
why.
always been that way, where one party will go in, and even if whatever they're doing was started by the party before, they try everything within their power to take
Kill it.
over whatever it is, right? To say as if it was their idea and initiative. Why can't you continue on the work that has been laid down before you came? Nothing wrong if you say you finish it. That's fine. And that goes to show that they don't have our best interest at heart. All the time. It's just the same thing. Something will happen. For instance, you say, all right, this needs to be fixed. We need better roads. Or they go back to all the years that PNP was in power and
Right.
why they didn't fix the road. So is it justification that because the PNP didn't give us the roads that we wanted in their time, you're not supposed to do it? Is that does that justify it? You understand? Then the PNP come and say, oh, we do the most road. And you're like, it's not about who do what right now. We don't have none.
Yes.
And you're
Yes.
here now to give us what we pay taxes for. But the reason why it's not happening is because the people do not recognize the power they hold. And until Jamaicans recognize that them really, really have the power, meaning that we are work and we are pay the tax and we do the voting, and a full money them spend, a full money pay them and do everything for them, then anytime they recognize that,
They're
then
not
we
going to,
will have a movement.
They're not going to, because first of all, it's tribal. Jamaica is too tribal when it comes to GLP and PNP. And you realize that we have been doing this show for a very long time, and we've been disliked by a lot of labor rights, and we have also been disliked by a lot of comrades, and I don't care, because at the end of the day we have to speak it, and it kind of make me want to take a different turn. I'm not going to go do away and stop talk about politics in its entirety, but I somewhat kind of going to kind of tone it down a little bit, because I realize that they don't want you to speak the truth, and who have ears, make them hear. Because look at this now. I mean, a journalist asked Mark Golding a question at a funeral for, I think, a mayor who passed from Montego Bay, and this was his reaction. So let us go to that clip in just a moment, Shells, and then we're going to discuss it further. But this was Mark Golding's reaction to the question by the journalist: what he thinks about Andrew Holness now wanting to implement the rent to own idea. Let's take a
Our
listen.
2020 manifesto proposed a way of making housing accessible, in particular for young people who struggle to find a deposit. And the idea was that the housing trust or the housing agencies, the government, would make houses available by way of rental to young people in particular, and a portion of that rent would go towards the acquisition of the house. And as their income improved over time, as they got older, it would be rolled up into a mortgage facility. And I believe this is what the Prime Minister is now saying he would like to do. And we welcome the announcement. We'd have liked to have been duly given credit for having come up with the idea. But what we would like to see is its implementation, because the government is given to making announcements which often do not become reality. So we would like to see this one. become reality.
However, if it does become reality, how beneficial do you think this will be to those who really can't afford housing at this time?
Well, I think it would be very beneficial because it would be a means by which people who are renting, because they can't afford to buy a house, would be able to rent with a view to be owning the house. And I think that's an innovative solution which many young people in particular would benefit from if it is rolled out.
All right, two things, Shells. Right, help me because maybe I'm a little bit slow right now. All right, and I want rather, you know what, Shells is all right. Take your break. Take 5 minutes to actually let this marinate. I want to ask our viewers what y'all think. First of all, Mr. Golden, right? Why do you need to be acknowledged? Why do you need to tell the world that it is your idea or the PMP's idea? What difference does it make? I can answer that, you know. You know why? Because Jamaicans are so tribal and Jamaicans are so gullible that you are afraid that the JLP will campaign on this. But you see, what really boggles my mind a lot of times is, who are you preaching to? Both parties. When you guys come and talk about what you have done and what the other party didn't do, who are you really? Because you're not preaching to people like me. You're not preaching to people like Shells. I'm sure you're not preaching to people who don't believe in being tribal. So who are you guys trying to be? So you guys actually really and truly take the people in for fool. Because who is Mark Golding preaching to? Okay, is he gonna sway the minds of a laborite who is already made up their mind, who has already made the decision to vote JLP? And he now is what? Trying to get his base, the percentage that didn't show up to vote in the last election, to come out and vote when he says, like, what purpose? I get it, I understand it, but I'm saying really and truly on a level where we need to think, who does it benefit? Who does it benefit? I'm sure the government is going to run with this, because you know what? Because we look at it like party, we look at it like PMP and GLP and not Jamaica. Shells said it earlier, it is our money. Well, I mean, I don't live in Jamaica, so I can't say our money. But I fool no money. Shells, I asked a question earlier, and I said, take 5 minutes for marinate. All I want to just say a while ago, why Mark Golding needs due acknowledgement? Why is it that the labor rights, why is it that the government of Jamaica must say, oh yes, this was implemented by the PMP, and it was in their manifesto, and because they lost, we're going to take it over, and we give them credit, and yes, it is their project, and we should give them, and we should kiss their ass, and we should vote them in next time because they are the ones that really look out for you. Like why should the labor rights even run with it in our campaign? I mean, I know the answer to it in the but me just ask, you know why? And I said it. It's because labor rights and comrades are gullible set of puppets.
I think, in all fairness, it's politics, and people should vote for politicians based on their performance. So I can understand, say for instance, the PNP standing up and saying this was in our manifesto. And I can understand them saying that because it would have been only fair for the no party to say, all right, we like the idea that was brought forward, because this is not the first idea that was brought forward by the opposition that we see being implemented. We see it. But this is very much recognizable, so much that a lot of people can't slide. It can't slide because it's in your face. So I don't see anything wrong with them saying, all right, your idea, we don't mind, we like it, and we can work on it, because it wouldn't serve the people if the people should wait and vote for that. Suppose them lose the next election. That means people gonna have to wait for get to have access to housing again when it can maybe more than likely be started now or something. So I know.
I don't, but because I beg to differ in the sense I get
So
it. And
or was it just an idea for the PNP and nothing else
well,
but
well,
an idea?
it wasn't their manifesto 2020, and we know what happened in 2020. We know who was in power 2020. You know what I mean? But I beg to differ, though. I get it. It's the game of politics, and this is why I said you might have missed it, and I said it before. Who are they preaching to? Who is Mark Golding trying to impress with wanting the acknowledgement? Who is going to stroke his ego? You know who is going to stroke his ego? His own supporters, who he doesn't have to fight to win over.
But wouldn't you want your acknowledgement though, Andrew?
No, I wouldn't want no acknowledgement, because I am serving a people. To be honest with you, all right, why am I going to have a kid's birthday party? Me and the wife separate, and we're going to have a party, and I want special thanks to say I bought a castle cake and I gave him a car. It's my dual responsibility. It is my responsibility to do it. It's not stroking my ego. Oh, you are the greatest father because you bought this. I get it. That's what I'm saying. He's not trying to labor right now impress me. PMP now impress you. Them not impress the people that's on the neutral side. So this is why I say that who are they preaching to? Who the labor right them want to impress? It can't be me and you.
The vote, of course, it's the citizens of Jamaica. Who you mean? They're not who else I'm gonna try to impress.
Hold on. Let's break down the citizens of Jamaica, because when we say citizens of Jamaica, we're talking about the entire country and people who legally live in the country. We know that the country is divided by orange and green. Shells.
And
there
black.
is a middle there is a middle ground where, let's say, people like you and I who don't really pick a particular party because of dieheartedness or we've been tribal. Them not impress me with that, because that is something that you're supposed to do. You're obligated to do it. So I'm supposed to be impressed because you did it, and that's the problem with Jamaica. And
come on, assault.
That's exactly what I'm saying in terms of them doing that.
Yes.
So I don't think it should be a man. You're right. It is common assault, but we need to step away from that type of politicking, because at the end of the day, I ask the question: who benefits? Who benefits?
And then Angela must. All right. The other day it was I think they were about to call local government election, and then they changed their mind. And politicians started to fix roads, and the minute it was called off, the road stopped fixed. The same road now, like 2 weeks after or 3 weeks, is riddled with the same holes that were there before. Now the people in the community did start feel good and made them a chat up them out and talk about the person who fixed it, not realizing that it is not something that you weren't it wasn't a sorry for thing like, oh, I'm doing you a favor. They're obligated to do it. We should have infrastructure because we pay our taxes. That's what taxes are for, So you're running a business, and every time you sell your stock and you take your stock taking, and you take out your profit and you take out your money that you're going to use for your utilities and your overhead costs, and you pay yourself and you do whatever you're doing. It's the same thing government should be doing with our money. So people act like when they live in our community and get little water, like they were being done a favor. And because of that, when election day come, they vote for that, not realizing that you should have done it anyway, because I pay my tax and not necessary because you come and do it now. You're a savior. So it's
all right. This is why I say, Shells, me and you can debate this, or they haven't said debate. We can discuss it from now till a morning. The issue is not only the people, but the politicians. Like for example, let's just call a spade a spade. Labor right them pinch off an idea out of a 2020 manifesto from the PMP because they saw where that would actually make sense for people to vote for them. And we have always heard that the PNP is for the poor and the GLP is for the rich. The PMP run on that campaign for years, straight up. And the labor rights them stay in opposition and they try their best to get there. No, what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, you have said it best. Why do we need a politician to get up today and hurry to fix the road because there's an election pending? Then you come back to show, you say, who are they trying to trick? They're a bunch of puppets. And that's why I'm in a wrong. When I said this, and I don't say it in no form of disrespectful way or me I talk down to people, but the truth is the truth. Me no. I got try if you say, okay, Shells, I'm only going to acknowledge you when I need your help. I use you, I'm being a hypocrite. And it's been going on for years. So who are we tricking? That's what I'm saying. Who are we tricking? Certainly not me. Who are we trying to impress? Who are we trying to trick? So Andrew coming with this idea. He's trying to chum up votes because him knows if him Ray got twep because apparently the voter turnout was very low and a lot of comrades didn't support the past election. And they're scared that should in case the voter turnout increase, where PMP come out, he want to try impress people like me and you, but it won't work. So I'm saying that who are they trying to impress? Oh, me? No, you'll never get my vote. None of y'all. Because we know that y'all doing this because, and whatever the because is, I will not fall into that trap. So it's like, I'm sounding like a broken record. But the key thing is, Shells, Stockholm Syndrome. Jamaicans, they love it. They love to be abused by both parties. They love to be abused by leaders. They love to be abused by their MPs. They love to be abused by their councillors. They love to be abused by even their neighbors and the dons and everybody. They don't care. They don't care.
You know, when I look at it, I see two ways, Andrew. I think there's a comment up. I see two ways. One is that the majority of persons who you see on these buses when it comes to campaigning time, I know those persons could never have a job to be on buses every day going back and forth, you know, to and from Kingston and other parts of Jamaica, no matter where the politic bus is going, they're on it. Those people could never have a job. And when you look at it, they don't look in their mind and say, but wait, up and bus at this and I don't even have a work. Because guess what? They get some guineas, they get a $5,000 or less and some box food every day. And for them, that is enough. That's one side. Then you have the other side who, when their party is in power, they eat a food. That are the people who have the money. So the man in the middle who kind of sort of have sense, but they are not on the lower grade and they are not on the upper grade, don't wield enough power per se because they are neither going on the bus, neither can they help financially to steer any ship any kind of way. And for me, aside from the die-heartedness, I think that's the other side. Like, keep the people in ignorance. Like, if I ask a lot of people, Jamaican, certain law, the rights that they would have for this and that, they don't know because you don't see it and hear it on you don't see it on or hear it on media all around. You go on IG and other media entities, you don't see those things being posted and streamed. So a lot of people really do not know. And if they're to go and search for it, they don't know where to go and find it. So,
but Shells, that is true. But to find out in terms of the 3-car trick and the sleight of hand, tell me so them people and pick up on that now, Shells. People like me and you will company every week and others.
You and me pick up, well, you and I or whatever. We pick up, but we not go vote. Well, me don't know about you, but we pick up me now go vote, even though me pick up because me see it as a lot of nonsense and I decided that I'm not going to play politics with these politicians. Right? The other man who, when election time, him get him shirt and the MP and the councillor then come and shake his hand and hug him up and hug her up and go find them at them house, dig them out of their house and carry the food and give them and they ask them for 10 chicken and them get it at that time. They feel, because everybody have this need to feel loved and wanted and the attention is now on them and them feel good now. to know that this a big politician or whoever is paying me mine.
You see why?
You
You see
understand?
why? You see why I say I agree. You see why I call it a case of Stockholm syndrome?
Well,
It is.
that too.
It is. When you really check it, it is. Because I abuse you throughout, you know, the 4 years, and as soon as the fifth year, which is a cycle, should be, you know, start again when the wheel should start a turning again for you to decide who runs the country. All of a sudden I come back around. When I abandoned you all this time, and I come back around. It's like a father and a mother who wasn't there in the child's life. And the moment the child graduates high school or university, all of a sudden this parent comes around. Am I boy that you know, man? Am I daughter that you know? And because this kid needs that love from that parent because it was so missing, you're going to forget about all the years that you have been absent. It's just the same thing. But anyhow, let's move on. The positive thing is that Jamaicans can know. And before we move on, Shells, break this down for me. What's the difference between rent to own and a mortgage? Because at the end of the day, if you can't afford rent as it is now, how are you going to afford? Why not just make it? You see, all these things, I mean, I can't get it. What rent to own? Okay, it's going to be less than mortgage, or it's going to be more than mortgage. It's going to be on the same of mortgage. Why not just give them a mortgage and done?
Is the same thing me there you wonder like me I say, when you think about it, every time they say they're going to make affordable housing, right? You think about civil
Affordable for
servants.
who?
No, that's what I'm just gonna say. They even mentioned that they're going to they have acquired lands and they will make affordable housing for civil servants and blah blah blah. And then when you hear the price of the house, then you just go slung down one corner because all when you work for 10 years, you alone cannot get one. You better get some one or two more somebody team up with to be able to afford a house. So I am saying, why use rent? Why not use like a mortgage and at the end of it? Because rent mean you're gonna earn from it and we still have to go turn around and buy it from you. So
Well,
it's like
according to Mark, he said that their idea was to have you pay a portion in rent,
but how much?
and then a
That's why me I say,
percentage of
how
the
much is
rent.
that rent going to be? If
Hold
you
on,
going to take
hold
a
on,
percentage towards your house.
hold on. Yes, a percentage of that rent will be taken out and put towards the house. And you ask a very good question: how much the rent is going to be, so that it can cover back the cost, the expenditure of building. Because remember, you want to recoup, So all these things, it sounds good on paper. It looks good on paper. But in reality, Shells, me ask a question here. What's the difference between the rent to own and mortgage to own? To pay mortgage to own? Because why not just give them?
I don't know, Andrew. Why not just offer it low income housing and whatever you'd have charged in rent, affordable rent? Because remember, it's for low income earners. Use that towards as mortgage and you do it for a certain amount of years because it's like taking a loan and they tell you that all right, you're going to pay on the reducing balance or you're going to pay the interest first. It's like, or they tell you that it's gonna be 2.5% interest, and you say yes, man, 2.5%, but it's over 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Check that.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if I had given you 5% over 3 years.
Right.
You understand? So they won't break it down for the low income earners like that.
Yeah.
So when I pay rent and you take a part for the rent and a part towards it, I am certain that will not work out to the benefit of those low income earners.
All right, I have 1 minute before I go to the break. And what I want to ask is what will be different? Because if people can't afford to qualify for an NHT home right now to pay mortgage, how do you qualify for an NHT rent to own? That's the question, and I want to answer this right after the break. This episode is sponsored by Jamaica Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Remember, you can call them. Their hotline is available. And of course, it's all about Child's Month. And in recognition of Child's Month, they are sponsors for VAL'S Views Live. So I hope you guys are, taking care of the kids. because we have, I don't want to call them watchdogs, but we have, or Jamaican society, home and abroad, watching and caring for the kids. This is Val's Views Live. We'll be right back. We're going for a quick break, and of course, we thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be right back. This episode is sponsored by the Jamaica Coalition Against Domestic Violence.
I'm mad you want mad me here today?
No, mommy.
Watch me, I'm fed up of you. I bet me kill you in here before you kill me. You're coming just like a kid. Stop that people yard. I'm tired of you now. I'm tired of you. Awful man.
Dear Mama, I understand that you hit me because you are frustrated and because of what I do. Please remember that I have feelings, and as a kid, I do get frustrated too.
A special message from JCADV in recognition of Child Month 2022, a proud sponsor of Val's Views Live podcast. All right, listen up because the children voices matter. Welcome back to Val's Views Live. We're in our second segment where we have been discussing the battle of the parties over rent to own homes. They're fighting over the idea. And again, we always say fighting over political spoils. But remember, tonight's episode is sponsored by JCADV, Jamaica Coalition Against Domestic Violence. And our main discussion will be about raising emotionally and psychologically healthy children for the adulting world. I have Shelling Shells in the building. And of course, we're going to move on. So the greatest thing is that Jamaicans will get affordable housing. And we're tired to hear that. But then again, Shell says, what do you have to present in order to qualify for one of these rent to own homes? And I see where the Prime Minister, of course, is showing off in the public where he's actually cutting ribbons for homes. It's a good look for the people, but everything now for show off. And I get it, it's politics. But until y'all start doing your jobs that you're obligated to do, then I will pat you on the shoulder. But when you do it to get votes and to keep your party in power, that's where you lose me, because it shouldn't be about party. It should be about Jamaica. It shouldn't be about the best parent, but it should be about the kids. And I use the analogy to say, why am I going to try and go to the birthday party of my son or my daughter and say, listen, I bought the cake and I bought the biggest gift, so y'all need to pat me on my shoulder because I'm the better parent. I'm going to move from here so with that. Shells, our next discussion is, or our next item rather, is what's killing our teachers? What's going on? What's really going on? Shells, do you have an idea as to, is it the vaccine? Is it stress? Is it a curse? 8 teachers in 8 days? What's going on?
I have absolutely no clue. And I've been speaking to some teachers I know, and they're actually scared somewhat.
Why are they scared?
Because your teacher died just like that, and all of them that died was the one thing they had in common was that they were all vaccinated. Allegedly they were all vaccinated, right? And yes, teaching is a highly stressed job, but 8 teachers, that's spooky if you ask me. That's spooky.
But let's be real though, Shells. Teachers are not the only ones, as public sector workers who have been vaccinated. So I kind of start ruling out the vaccine, because if it were the case, then more police officers and soldiers and people work in government sectors other than the education sector, in all other sectors, including even private businesses who those workers were forced to take the vaccine, shouldn't they be dying too? If it was vaccine, where may I come from? If it was the vaccine, if it were, more Jamaicans would be dying. But
How
why
do we
8
know
teachers?
they're
Hold
not?
on. So teachers got different vaccines than everybody else? Those 8
Maybe,
teachers?
maybe what we need to know is if they had the same type of vaccine in common. Remember, with vaccinations, it would have been other factors too. You understand? So you can just bring it on. We're not saying it is, but I'm
No,
saying
no,
there's
hold on,
one.
Shells.
Hmm?
Hold on. May I cut you? I see a lot of people who are, some people would call them conspiracy theorists, and those who were the anti-vax were saying, I'm not calling a name, but I see one particular person on social media saying, we don't take count. They don't tell them already, And you ask a very important question. Well, you made a very good point in terms of it's not the same vaccine, but let's say it can't be that, let's say the teachers had one brand, and the people that collect the garbage, NSWMA workers, had the same brand, and some soldiers had the same brand, but it's only teachers alone with the same vaccine are dead. So, I mean, I get it in terms of brands, but I don't know. Shells make me, anyhow, continue. I'm confused.
I was just saying though that aside from stress and the vaccine, as far as we heard in the media, those would be the only 2 things that all teachers had in common. That's all I was alluding to, but we don't know until the autopsies show, and we know how things are any which way. Even if a common denominator is the factor that caused it, we won't know, in all honesty. And or do we know, Isa? Predisposed conditions, we won't know, because we have been lied to, continue to be lied to. You understand? One sec.
Mm-hmm. All right. So St. Elizabeth, Jamaica, president of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Winston Smith, confirmed that another teacher, Amoy Tomlinson, who is employed as a teacher at a school in Black River, St. Elizabeth, died on Wednesday. The second teacher to die in the last 24 hours, setting up a grim milestone for the education fraternity of 8 deaths in 8 days. That's alarming, That's absolutely crazy. You know what I mean? It's absolutely crazy. All right. Anthony says that it's stress, too much bad picnic. If it was because the vaccine, he says, if it was because the vaccine, why are other people dying in other professions that were vaccinated? Everybody will happen, then blame in the devil or the vaccine. That's what I'm saying. If it were the vaccine, I rule out the vaccine totally. I'm not gonna buy that. And Shells is right. If they do the autopsy and the results come back and it says vaccine is the issue, they're not gonna report it. Yes, but my common sense tell me say it can't be the vaccine, because then other sectors would be seeing the same amount of death, or even 1 or 2. The police now drop out. You see me? No soldier now drop out.
My God, Anthony. Who care? You can't talk loud, Andrew. Because me tell you, say the children were in captivity for how long? A year and something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Children were in captivity for a year and
You call it
something.
captivity though, Shells?
And we saw the behavior that was in the schools. Like, we saw the deaths and the fights and the disruptive behavior in those students.
So Shells, but
Yeah?
it's not new to, but well, I know this not new to the schooling community. From me, I go school,
So
pick me
it's
a
a
bad.
combination
What's
of
the
things,
difference?
Andrew. You know, get it. It's a combination. I'm
Oh,
not laughing because it
no,
is
I know.
really sad. You understand that we've lost 8 teachers. I don't want anybody to think I'm being insensitive towards that. It's just when you think about the possibility of the behavior of those children, and the fact that it's a highly stressed job, amongst other factors. We would love to know what caused, all 8 teachers to die. And it's not like they're from the same school, so you can say, all right, maybe it's something going around in the school. You get what I'm saying? So it's
That's why I'm
concerning. It
confused.
is
That's why.
concerning, yeah, and confusing.
That's why I'm confused, because I'm saying to myself, like, yo, what is really going on. All right, let's go to the stress part because we don't go rule out the vaccine. And I asked this question sometime this week to say, what's the difference between 2 years ago when pre-vaccine, prior to the vaccine, before COVID, and now? And somebody said it, that exactly what you said, Shells, in terms of it is a plethora of issues that we're now faced with. And that's the issue. What kill off the teacher them? So it is a case where the youth them go home. So that means the school is good then. Because if the youth them never go to school, and if they take 2 years away from school, and when they go back to school, a be a madness a go on, then that means the school really at work then. When we think school is failing our children. You get where I come from? I hope you see where I come from. Because if them take 2 years and stay home, and when they went back, the indiscipline of children has increased tenfold, then that says a lot. Now, I'm still confused as to why 8 teachers died in 8 days.
All females.
Exactly. All female teachers died in 8 days. Me still try wrap my mind around that. What go on? Some curse go on, some phobia go on, and I think in the first couple of cases, Shells, they were either vice principals or people that were moving up in the ranks. No. Yeah. So me no know. Maybe Smaddy or Wobia Smaddy. I don't know. Maybe Smaddy or Wobia Smaddy. Some not go on, Shells. Some Wobia go on in our school system. Smaddy or Wobia Smaddy, brother. Or it could be, I'm going out on a limb right now, or it could be planned to make the Jamaican government looks bad, that they must just all the people they not pay them their rightful money, so that means that them are dead. You know, Jamaicans, as Mark say, Anthony say, everything them blame upon the devil. And the vaccine. It is serious though. It is serious. I saw someone.
It is concerning for real, absolutely concerning. You know?
I saw someone made a post recently that if we think that the ministry, when I say ministry, meaning the sector rather, isn't a place of hatred and stress and depression filled, teachers, we need to think again. Meaning that colleagues will go into clique. They'll have their own clique. And teachers who are going to speak out against certain behaviors and operations, they are reprimanded. Teachers and principals, they link together. And if you're willing to kiss ass, then you'll get tabli. If you're not willing to kiss ass, then you get kicked out. And let's say they put a particular report on your record, Shells. That report stays with you until you decide to cut, and they'll make your life a living hell as a teacher. So it's not just students alone that is adding to the stress of these teachers, but their own colleagues and principals and board members. So that's why I went out on the limb and say, hey, this could be an inside job. I don't care. It could be, because people who have worked with teachers have come to the fore, have come to the public and say, yo, it is not a nice environment. It is not. You have to cope with students who are disobedient, who are indisciplined, plus colleagues who are bad mind you and fight you. Shells, the world is crazy.
It is.
The world is crazy.
I sorry, that one here heavy still, me not tell you that.
It is though, Shells. Imagine 8 policemen got in bed and never wake up. Or 8 policemen drop down on the job and dead. So that is one every day. That is one every day. 8 teachers died in 8 days. That means one every day. And when you see something wrong,
I was looking to hear that an investigation is being carried out. Need an inquiry, Our inquiry.
Whether in or N,
Yep.
we need an
We
investigation.
need, we need some backstory, something. It can't just be.
I need to hear from our viewers because this is not right. But anyhow, let's move on. Did you hear about the monkeypox?
Andrew, hey boy.
Did you hear about the monkeypox? Like, what really are going in our world, oh God?
Unfortunately, I cannot unhear or unsee. Unfortunately,
All right. Let us go to this report and then we can discuss it when we come back. All right, guys, let's take a listen. Let's find out a little bit more about monkeypox. Let's try, because this not so normal at all, Shells. This doesn't sound normal. All right, I was trying to play that report, but apparently I'm having some issues with playing the report. All right, I'm going to get to it in just a minute. All right, so imagine, right? We're still battling with COVID because here we heard that the prime minister is I don't want to use the word threatening, but is hinting at a possible second I don't want to call it a second wave because I don't want to play on words, but he's attempting to
fifth wave. It's not a play on words. They themselves said fifth wave.
All right, cool. So because of the fifth wave, the government is now encouraging Jamaicans to still wear their mask because COVID not gone away. And just as you think that we're out the waters, here we are being introduced to this thing called monkeypox.
Health officials about a new possible rare disease outbreak. It is called monkeypox. Joining me right now is Dr. Kavita Patel, former Obama White House policy director. She's also an NBC News medical contributor. So we've seen a couple of cases of monkeypox in Massachusetts, now a case here in New York. What do we need to know about it?
Yeah, Katie, what we need to know is that it's much rarer compared to a lot of the things we've been talking about lately, such as COVID. And in particular, we still need a bit more information about why we're seeing such wide geographic spread. Now, the fact that we're seeing not just the cases in Massachusetts and New York, but there's a probable case in Australia, we have cases in Europe and Canada and other countries, that does mean there's probably some low level of community spread that we could anticipate. So I'm just saying this to warn people, we will likely see more numbers. That should not make people panic, but it should make people, if they have any unusual skin signs, or something that is kind of worrying them about their travel in the past to an area where they have heard about outbreaks, they should talk to their doctor. And then here is some reassuring news. The smallpox vaccine, which we haven't needed to use since the 70s, Katie, actually does have some protection to protect against this. So we have tools of defense and we have some treatments that we can use, but it's about getting diagnosed. And that's when people should start to present to the doctor. But it is not like, I don't want to even try to compare it to COVID. There's no comparison, but we're talking about two different things. And I'm much more worried about the COVID numbers we're seeing, to be perfectly honest.
I want to ask you about COVID, but I do want to know how.
So hold on. Does it sound like they're kind of downplaying it, Shells? Am I getting that?
Yes. So far they are.
Is it that because they don't want to create mass panic and mass hysteria and all of that? Because I am,
I think it's coming from the fact that it is spread. So if you can't, even though they're telling you to protect, I don't know. You know what? But all I can hear and see is that there's a vaccine available. And right now you have people in the labs actually working on treatment for this thing. That's what I saw in the media. So I'm not alleging anything. You understand? So that's what stands out for me, because this is a rare disease that is normally only found in Africa. And all of a sudden, it is spreading around the world. Over 12 countries have identified cases of it. It is being centralized among men who have sex with men. So far, I haven't heard of any females with it, amongst other things. So there are
Hold
so
on.
many.
So it's mainly males. It's mainly
All the
the
cases that I have heard of. Persons can correct me if there's any update. If there are any females that were found, but they are all males, and quite a few of them were identified to be of that orientation.
that have sex with animals.
Man with other men.
Oh, homosexual.
Yes.
Oh,
Right.
but all right. Monkeypox is a viral disease that occurs mostly in Central and Western Africa. It is called monkeypox because it was first identified in a lab monkey. Now, does that kind of raise a red flag? How did it even become a public thing if it's in a lab?
It doesn't kind of. All right. So actually, from
Break it down.
my
Hold on. Me done. So me fool. I'm in school. When something when it's found first discovered in a lab, discover means at the first, right? Never been before, seen, heard of. Nobody has ever seen it, put them hand on it. It was first established. It was established, not even first, but it was established in a lab with test subjects. In that case, monkeys. Then how it reach out a road? Someone have sex with monkey in a lab and bring it out to them.
That's not what I found. That's not what the information that I found. I guess it was isolated in a lab, but it has been a part of the African landscape for a while, because scientists down there can actually, in Africa, I should say, can actually attest to how this disease operates. And that is why they are actually confused as to why
But
and
Shells,
how.
hold on. Shells, at the CDC website, Mr. That pan, you know, monkeypox
And do
was
so.
first discovered in 1958 when 2 outbreaks of pox-like diseases occurred in colonies of monkeys kept for research. Hence the name monkeypox. This was from 1958.
Yes, I know. I saw the same information, but I also saw information which would have alluded to the fact that regardless of, same way than they say Christopher Columbus discovered place, but I'm just saying, regardless of the fact that they isolated it in monkeys that they kept in a lab, it still goes to the fact that it's Africa. That's where you would have found the disease. Not only rodents, along with other primates, actually had this kind of, that's where you would find that kind of a virus per se. Humans continue to infringe on animals' space, wildlife, and they continue to go in places like Amazon jungle and other places to hunt for diseases that may potentially affect mankind in the long run. Now you tell me,
Did
why
you just
people
say
spend it?
hunt?
I swear, yes, that's what they do. They actually go, they catch bats and snakes and whatever else them can find, and try to isolate different organisms from them, whether harmful or not.
Right.
You understand? So I am not baffled when I see these things come out. The only part that I think about is who first is gonna get the patent to medicate us for it.
I mean, the persons who actually have the vaccine
and
on the
yes,
market.
Mark, people eat every kind of animal, monkey, rat, bat, everything is eaten. As a matter of fact, you have wet markets all over the world where you have exotic animals that are eaten by many people as delicacies every day. So mankind continue to infringe.
My thing is though, and here Mark kind of touching it again, is who run these labs?
Yes. So most of the times it's them. Sometimes they have black scientists working with them, but most of the time it's those color people.
My thing is, if something was established or discovered in my house and I didn't let it out, maybe my kids did, or my wife did, or somebody came in my house and let it out. But it was discovered in my house. It wasn't discovered in a bush. I'm gonna bring it in my house. So we can say, okay, then whoever came close to it in the bush was exposed. It's in my house. So that kind of raised a red flag for me. To say, whoa. But of course, we know that, and this is why I'm not going to be debating this monkeypox thing, because I don't debate COVID-19 because I don't understand it. Honestly, I don't. I don't understand the vaccine. I mean, I hear and I read stuff, and I try not to have a public discussion or a debate about it, because that is one thing. American politics and science and scientific debates and stuff, I try to stay away from, because first of all, we never do biology in a school. The sciences I never did. The only ones that I can remember, I kind of did a little bit of physics and some mathematics, which was mandatory, but I'm more of a vocational type of guy. So I try not to mix and mingle in the sciences. So therefore, I don't partake in that. You know what I mean? Even though I debate politics, but political science wasn't my thing. Anyhow, here are some symptoms, just in case you are curious to know what the symptoms are: fever, headache, muscle aches, backache, swollen lymph nodes, chills, exhaustion. This not sound something similar to the symptoms of COVID?
Well, it's a virus. A lot of them operate the same way.
Okay, there you go. You see,
Yeah.
I stay away from it. Thank you for that. That's why I'm glad we have nurses and them something there as friends, so we can sound smart. You know what I mean? But anyhow, I am just saying, like, where did this all come from? And it becomes a big thing, you know. I don't know, Mark. We don't know who was running these labs, but we know, as I just said that too, and that's why I said it, that this sound like COVID-19. But Shells being a member of the
Because
medical field,
because sorry to interrupt you, Andrew. Because initially, when they started talking about monkeypox, right? They were saying that it comes from being close and up close and intimate with another person who has it. Then they're going to start telling that you must cover your this if you come in. If anybody like you, I might know that somebody who has symptoms of it, I'm supposed to cover my nose and my this and my that and wherever. You're saying, like, come again? You just tell me say close contact spread it. So it don't matter if there's droplet happening. You say close contact. So which is it? Because they were calling it the sex virus. That's how they were actually referring to it, as you only get it from your sexual partner per se, as if they wanted to say that it can be transmitted through having unprotected sex with somebody who is infected with it. So
I get
right
it.
now I have to be on top of trying to get some research done to find out which is it. Or are we going to be as confused as with COVID until everybody starts to show with
It's
monkeypox?
crazy. It's crazy how you said earlier that it's only the cases that have been reported on, the victims are males. And then common sense, based on what you just done, because you've actually enlightened me in terms of how it is contracted, how it is passed on. You know what I mean? And it's funny how you said it, that it is, based on intimate contact, unprotected sex. So you put your one and two together, your common sense, if you have it, and put six and six together and realize, say, hey, this is it. I
But
mean,
my concern is that you can get it without being intimate, and it's especially deadly to children. Unlike quote unquote COVID, that not many children, it didn't affect a lot of children. No, no, this one, like, if a child gets it, they stand a significant chance of dying from it. Versus an adult getting it.
yeah, it's crazy, Shells. I mean, guys, usually I'd be like, try to be safe, try to protect yourself. But hey, if something is airborne, how much protection can you have? how much protection can you get from this disease or virus rather? How much? You know, boy shells, I don't know. The world is going crazy. The world is going crazy. All right, cool guys. So we're almost at our second ad break. Of course, remember that this segment of or this episode of VAL'S Views Live is sponsored by Jamaica Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Remember, it's all about in recognition of Child's Month, Jamaica for 2020. Listen up. The children's voices matter. Guys, please keep it locked right here. We'll be right back. This is VVL. We'll be right back. It is sponsored by the Jamaica Coalition Against Domestic Violence. And welcome to the Rise and Shine show on a Monday morning with your host, AV. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's 75 degrees here in Kingston, Jamaica. And there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on the Mandela Highway. Will the kids get to school on time? Remember, the kids are the future. Sponsored by the Jamaica Coalition Against Domestic Violence. And welcome to the Rise and Shine show on a Monday morning with your host, AV. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's 75 degrees here in Kingston, Jamaica. And there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on the Mandela Highway. Will the kids get to school on time? Remember, the kids are the future.
Daddy, how come you never wake me up this morning?
Morning to you too, Mom.
Morning, Daddy. But me go late for go school now.
Why you late when you're not in school for go? I don't have no money for send you here. You never get paid this weekend.
So me not go school for this week?
Not until next week.
But Daddy, the whole of the week is test week. I can't afford to miss the entire week. How me I go do my test then?
Listen me. What you want me to do? Eh? You want me to borrow it? Thief it? Or you want me to go beg it? Just come over here, some man. Come cut piece of bread, drink little tea, and go read a book or something.
Daddy, you hear that?
Parents, don't worry. The government, will be able to assist you in sending your kids to school just in case, you won't be able to send them for a week or two. The government is here to assist you. This is AV, and it is Good Morning, Jamaica. It's Rise and Shine. A special message from JCAD in recognition of Child Month 2022, a proud sponsor of VAL'S Views Live podcast. All right, guys, welcome back to VVL Podcast every Saturday right here on Facebook and YouTube, and we're also on Hype TV, how you picture entertainment. And do remember that tonight's episode of VAL'S Views Live is sponsored by Jamaica Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Remember, it's all about the children for this month of May. Remember, the children's voices matter. So don't abuse the youth them. We're going to get ready for our final segment because we're only going for 30 minutes more. And tonight, our main discussion will be about raising emotionally and psychologically healthy children. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And of course, it is now time to thank you, Mark. It's a great ad. Of course, you don't know. Big respect to Jamaica Coalition Against Domestic Violence. And you know what I learned recently, Shells, is that domestic violence, isn't only about, man and woman fighting. It is also about parents abusing kids and siblings, sibling rivalry, and all of that. So when we talk about domestic violence, usually in Jamaica, we only talk about man and woman. And even with the incident recently where this man actually murdered a woman that his side chick, his side piece that he was cheating on his wife with. I mean, I always say this, say nothing wrong if you want to have 20 women. But if the 20 women them agree and them okay with it, then go ahead, Bridging. But if you have fear, sneak and cheat and tell lie, you're having a problem, brother. And you need to fix it. You need to fix it. All right. So welcome back, guys. Raising emotionally and psychologically healthy children for the adulting world. That's our main discussion for tonight. Guys, we're going blind tonight. It's the podcast style. Next week, you'll be definitely able to see us again. But tonight, we just want to stay a little bit incognito. Shells can cock up our foot and relax, and we can relax and and worry about, what me here look like, if me trim or me shave or whatnot. So we kind of like to talk behind the scenes, and we encourage you guys to send us your comments and your feedback. Now, how many of us have actually had an experience growing up? And because of that experience, we try to make sure that our kids never, ever go through that. For example, if we didn't have a 4-burner gas stove and we had to use wood stove, meaning that coal stove, or you'd have to catch, fire up when you go out wood. Me know Seychelles, I mean, even in Kingston, don't think that's only in the country area. People have to go look wood and chip, we call it, and burn plastic bag for light fire. Some of us, we didn't have a pair of Jordans growing up, so we make sure that we furnish our kids with the best that we didn't have in order for them not to feel what we felt as kids. But are we setting healthy boundaries, or are we setting unhealthy boundaries when we give to our kids what we don't have? Are we raising scarred, traumatized, unhealthy emotionally and psychologically kids so that they will be unstable adults when they get older? So in recognition of Child's Month 2020 in Jamaica, we need to listen up to our kids. We need to listen to what they're saying, because their voices matter. So tonight, we are going to discuss it. Shells, we have seen it over and over. Parents have projected their own trauma on the children. And let me start out first by saying I caught myself the other day doing it. And I've made the post on social media. I'm not afraid, because healing is the key. And accepting is the first step in healing. So for our viewers for tonight, if you have any experience or something might resonate with you, something might trigger you to think, not in a negative way, but in a positive way, we encourage you to meditate on it. Think about it. Are you abusing your kids? Being confused? Are you giving your kids too much? Are you setting healthy boundaries, or are you setting unhealthy boundaries? Tonight, our show is sponsored by Jamaica Coalition Against Domestic Violence. And it's not about domestic violence tonight, but it's about the children. We all need to listen up, listen to our children, because their voices matter. Shells, have you heard of any incidents or seeing a particular scenario where the parent sets an unhealthy boundary for their kids and then not understanding why them spoil and all of that?
Well, Andrew, you have to take a deep breath, because you wouldn't know, like, this needs to be a topic for an entire week. Like, you just come on every night and do one chapter after another chapter after another chapter.
I agree.
Until it sinks in, because the psychological aspect of our health and our children's health has deteriorated so bad that I don't know how or if it can be reversed or can come back. It runs deep. It's uncanny that we're speaking about this now because I just finished a cluster with my trainees because I do teach trainee nurses, and this was the topic, like caring for children. And when I introduced them to the psychological part of the lesson, I had adult women crying, not intentionally, but because they could resonate and relate to most of what I was saying. And a lot of us have lost out on being stable mentally or psychologically because even as young as babies, that was taken away from us.
True.
Because we weren't parented right. Our parents didn't know how to parent us because
We weren't
they
raised
were
properly.
actually broken people raising. When I look at the information that I had and I'm saying, me broken, my mother broken, my sister them broken, my brothers are broken, like we are a world of broken people, not because we were made imperfect, but because psychologically
This episode
we
is sponsored
did
by
not
Jamaica.
know how to stable ourselves psychologically. Meaning from you have a baby and the things, as you said, Andrew, do you allow your children to just get away with anything and be spoiled and entitled because you think that you are giving them what you didn't get? And Missy, I got that same information from a grown man recently where he doesn't drink oatmeal porridge because he was forced to eat it as a child. Right? So, Andrew, you have Eric Erickson. He's one of, so you have Eric Erickson, you have Erickson, Maslow, and Freud. They were some psychologists long ago, and a lot of people will try to say what they found out is not so and try to differ from it. But let me tell you something, man. If you go right now and Google Eric Erickson, we're starting with Eric Erickson, and you read through the information that is there, and you go on, say, find another credible site to get some information about the where you should be as or where your child should be and what stage psychologically. And say for instance, when your child cries, like you said to the child, no, the child is 8 months old, and you said no, the child should understand what no means, and you said no, and the child started to cry, and you put the child in a corner instead of comforting the child to let the child know that despite the fact that I am telling you no, I still love you enough and care enough for you to protect you. But I'm telling you no, do not touch this because it will burn you per se. You show the child the flame and say no, don't touch it, it's hot, will burn. And the child starts to cry, and you just leave the child or send the child to go sit in the naughty corner because guess what? Where you have ball for? Me to give you something for ball. How much shall we hear that?
True, enough time.
And then I kill you with lick.
Enough time.
And I tell you not to cry.
Enough time.
The way how we parent psychologically, a lot of us have missed the ball. And a lot of us have a lot of apologies to give our children because we have wronged them psychologically. So materialistically, we may give them things that they shouldn't even have gotten because they haven't earned it, because you have to stabilize them for the world. And what the world will throw at them psychologically, you have to stabilize them for that. Get them ready for what the world will throw at them. And they still know that mommy and daddy love me and will protect and care for me regardless of the fact that they are trying to stabilize me and tell me that this is wrong and this is right. It's deep, Andrew. I mean, I don't know how we're going to get through this tonight because it's deep. Yes, kids raising kids, Anthony, was a part of a research that I found recently too, because of the same thing. They are not mentally, socially adept yet to be parents because they themselves are not yet fully matured to be raising kids per se. So there's so many factors so many factors. But if we as parents stabilize the children, then may I tell you, no amount of peer pressure or something out there now gonna really move them so much because they know that their parents are there to provide love and security and all the other good things. But
You know
Andrew
what's
D,
funny? It's funny, because I mean, teenage pregnancy is a big thing across the world, but the majority is adults are having kids, and if you want to be frank, Shells, like a lot of adults still haven't grown past that inner child who is always crying out for the attention and the help. And I think that's the issue. And I'm happy that he mentioned children having children, because even though we're in adult form, physically, psychologically, and mentally, some of us are still trapped being that 6 or 7 year old child who experienced that first, trauma. And it carries over into adulthood because we feel like it is adulting when we are paying our bills and working and can make our decisions on our own. But some of us are still suffering psychologically and emotionally from that little kid who ran away from his home because his parent was punishing him so bad. And then he would continue that cycle because if somebody didn't take him on to say, listen, at the end of the day, brother, and so you deal with Pitney, Shells, as you say, oh, name it, that me have, that me provide. And this actually inspired an idea where I saw the meme that says, I have been taught to be humble and to accept whatever my parents offered back in the day when I was a kid. And it taught me to be humble and grateful. There is truth to that, Shells. But on the flip side, for example, Missy, and I've seen other adults who say that, yes, I was traumatized by that very scenario or case or incident, and we can't go around it. We cannot go around it, Shells. It's some certain things that we were taught by our parents, were forced to accept by our parents. We didn't outgrow it. It transitioned with us into adulthood, and we become parents. Now, I made this post recently, and it's something that I even share with Shaki. And I think I was psychologically projecting on my 14-year-old son the other day. And I didn't even realize it until after I sit down and I was holding my meditation, Shells. And that's why I said that we're trying to psychologically, raise healthy kids and emotionally. Now, I call it psychological projection. And psychological projection is a process of misinterpreting what is inside as coming from outside. In some cases, projections incorporates blame, shifting, and can manifest as shame dumping. And that's what you talk about sometimes, Shells. If you're not near it, me and you in here, is because you're frustrated because you can't provide anything better. And you know this. And because the child doesn't want to take it, you're going to force it on them. So you're projecting right there. And some of us, we don't even realize it as parents. And some of us as kids, we couldn't pick up on that. So as parents, we do a lot of psychological projection and we don't even realize it. I caught myself projecting the other day, and thank goodness rather, it was just a thought. And I never said it. The long and short of it, Shells, is that we want to get, our kids domesticated as much as possible. And one of the idea is to make our 14-year-old son wash the dishes as a part of, and you can hear somebody just throw a spoon in the sink. To start washing the dishes. He's actually allowed to take the garbage out and empty the recycling and all of that, the recycle bin, and take out the garbage. And sometimes we have to remind him, these kids were raised not having to do much stuff. And we were like, hey, we have to do it. But is it a case where we wanted them to do it because we want to teach them to be domesticated, or the fact that we grew up? Because I remember at age 14, I mean, me have still a sweep yard, me have a wash plate. In terms of washing clothes, I didn't have to do it because my mom would wash the clothes and would have a machine by then, a washing machine by then. So that would have be out the picture. But dusting the furniture down, remember me have dust whatnot, cabinet and buffet, sweep out house, wipe out house, polish out house, and all of that. So we were made to be domesticated. And I was thinking about making him wash the dishes, Shells. And I'm saying to myself, like, yo, when we go talk to him about him wash the dishes, I'm going to share my experience with him. And at one point, I realized it wasn't about me sharing my experience with him, but it's me telling him of what I had to do, why he needs to do it, and why he should be happy to do it. So, in other words, because I didn't have the luxury of having a double sink in the kitchen, which we have, we had a single sink in the kitchen, but there was no running water. The plumbing fixture wasn't, there at the time. So outside, Shells, we have to get a pudding pan. Jamaicans don't know what I talk about. And 2 buckets with water, one for first rinse and one for second rinse. When it's only 1 bucket alone, Shells, me used to have to skim off the sod off of the top of the water so that my mother don't come out and she said, soap up and rush me figure, throw away the water and catch fresh water, Shells. And I wanted to share this with him because I feel as if he should have known this. No, I thought it would have been a great story to tell him to encourage him to wash the dishes. Will this deter me from wanting him to wash the dishes? No. But I had to catch myself because half the time, even in our day-to-day relations with people, we tend to project on people. Shells, you should do it this way because why? Because that's how I used to do it. No. You should sweep the yard and make piles and dump it in the bin. Once the pitney sweep up the yard and the yard clean and him do it, you shouldn't dictate to him how it is done. And that's projection. Why? Because your parents did that to you. Not because you were raised that way. Makes it healthy. Makes it emotionally and psychologically healthy for you to project onto your kids. And so tonight, we want you to check yourself. We want you to check how you deal with your kids. There's nothing wrong with giving your kids the Nikes and the Jordans and the name brands, but you have to set a healthy boundary because some of us spoil our kids rotten because we didn't have it. That's unhealthy. As Shell say, explain to the pitney, say, yo, this is why I'm putting you on timeout. This is why you're not getting it. Yo, I could have telling stories after stories with my like a 4-year-old who feel like he can't raise his voice by me. Him feel like he can't raise his voice by me, and of course, I kind of have to put on my foot more time, but I also have to bear in mind that, hey, maybe me I scar him psychologically and emotionally, Shells, in terms of how I deal with it. So at times, you have to put on your foot, but at times, you have to show love. Listen to the kids. They have feelings too. They want to voice their opinions too. They want to tell you how they feel. Oh, a pitney must stay in a pitney place because you're a pitney. No. That's not right. Teach them respect. Teach them manners. Make them have discipline. But don't try project where you're. Remember one time my mother beat me, wicked in her Shells for a sweet sap in her fridge, She was teaching me a lesson, yes, but me feel like that kind of damage me too. Because me no beat my youth them. Me near one sweet sap Shells, one big old elephant sweet sap. And my mother come home and couldn't find the sweet sap. Me never hungry and couldn't never cook yet. I want to eat the sweet sap. Or she missed the sweet sap out of the fridge and asked me for me eat it. And I say, yeah, my mother beat me. Wicked. And my mother never beat me so yet, Shells. Mother say, no, why am I beat you? I even said to Shaki what day, so I feel like that was borderline abuse. She beat me because I didn't leave a piece. And it means anytime I go into the fridge, because we were living in a tenement yard. And the fact that me as a pitney, living in one tenement yard with my people, no business with who want to ask my mother to put up nothing in her fridge. And because of that, me have to think as a pitney, if you say me must be considerate enough to know, so somebody might ask my mother to put something in her fridge. And me shouldn't eat it. She beat me because of that. Because I could have somebody give her the sweets up for putting in her fridge. And me people them things, and she would have to pay a fee. To me, that don't make no sense. I made a mistake, yes, but beat me for that. And people are going to say, but I bet you did learn. But I could have learned in a different way. It could have been learned in a different way. I could have been taught that principle, that discipline in a different way. She never have to beat me. But guess what? I fear a way that to deal with it. Anthony Mark says, Andrew, it's more than washing the dishes. It's a bigger thing. My dad made me cut and rake the yard. He made me wake up on time on the weekends. It's not that he was spiting or hurting me. He wanted to teach me discipline, starting a job and finishing it. He wanted to teach me how to get up, because you will do it for work or when you group for the appointments. Never look at child chores in a literal sense. There is higher purpose. As I said, of course we want him to be domesticated. Him cut the lawn one day, I give him the lawn more for push, and I didn't help him. The only thing we help him with was to start up the lawnmower, because in weak and he can't really pull it for start up a motor. And he tried it one time and him do it and he felt so good. And every time from now, when the yard for cut, I will cut the yard. But the thing is, what I was trying to say is, I was projecting, I wanted him to do it and tell him of my story, not because I want him to understand that it's important to be domesticated, but because I did it as a child. It's almost like me, I tell him supposed to do it because me did do it. And I shared with his mom, and his mom understood exactly what I was saying. So I had to catch myself. So me don't know if your dad was trying to spite you and you don't know it or whatever, but at the end of the day, I just feel like we need to set healthy boundaries. Shells, how do you set healthy boundaries with your kids?
I must say I can understand where Mark is coming from.
Right.
Because we must move away from the part where it seems like punishment when we give our children, and I don't want to say domesticated, I want to say when we teach them life skills, it shouldn't come in the form of punishment, right? And that's what happens a lot of times, and that is the reason why a lot of children detest to do chores or learn life skills, because it came as punishment. Now, if when our children are babies, we are in the kitchen and we create a space for them where they can wash some dishes or cook some food, eventually they will enjoy it and see it as a part of everyday life and not as a punishment. And that is where we have to move away from. I don't know where the line was crossed with us, like a certain age group, 90s and below, where we actually got some good licks to do, learn our life skills. We weren't told that as adults, like the girls were told that she better learn to do this and do that, or else she not gonna get no man.
Or hold on, Shells, I don't want to break you. As you said that, me remember hearing my mother or my sister saying to me, so I need to learn to do that too, so no woman can come make them use and draws beat me. I've never
right. So those were that was how they learn, and to show you that our parents actually need therapists. Most of us parents need therapists because they weren't raised right. Mm-hmm. And to show you that was their reason for explaining for us to do it. It wasn't fun. It wasn't learning to us because it seemed like punishment. We have to move away from that. Now, with my children, I talk to my children a lot. I speak to them a lot. Them get some licks. I try not to, because when me get upset, then me really upset and I may overdo it. So that is why I try not to get upset with them a lot when they were much smaller. But I talk to them a lot. And I try to explain and I try to reward them in meaningful ways. And I let them know that, look here, when you come home from school, you're going to clean your shoes, you're going to have your shower, you're going to eat your dinner, and then you can do your homework is part of it. And then you can either go outside and play, or you can go watch TV or whatever. So it became a part of them when they came home. They come from school, then they're going to go get all of that done and then, come back in and do whatever. I think, like for instance, if I ask them to maybe go sweep the yard, it might be a big problem. Because most of the places that we have lived, we would just do it and done because I can't take the chatting. That was a wrong move for me. Like, if I said, go wake up the yard, and when you look, they don't do it, and then you start quarrel because you can't bother. You come home and tired and have the time. So they may not have maybe done like outside, sweep the yard and do some other little things like would have, encouraged a high standard of noticing that your surroundings should be clean. especially outside. I may have dropped the ball there, but I try to educate while I either instill discipline, and I never fail to let them know that of course I love and care for them. But the world out here is a very rough one, and I don't know, I just try to use my words and some actions to show them that, you know,
Good, because you know,
hopefully them stable enough. A lot
you
of
know what?
times I do question if I did it right and did enough, and Joe, me not tell a lie. Me think me could
No,
have did do
it's
a
not.
lot more.
It's not that.
You
No,
know?
you see. Once you make that deposit, it will be withdrawn later on in life, and they'll appreciate that because guess what? You didn't make them feel as if chores is a task. Coming home to do homework and having it creates this bond between you and them as well. And I think personally, Shells, I applaud you for doing that because you're setting, healthy boundaries. Don't beat up on yourself because there isn't a parenting manual. There's never been a parenting manual. It's an
You know what?
experience.
Even if there's one, it don't work for every situation and every child and
Exactly.
parent.
Exactly. Me and you put in a great same way. So therefore, if I was supposed to use your template, that in itself is going to create a problem. Hey, let me tell you how I have been psychologically scarred when it comes to doing things. Because I was told to do the thing when I didn't feel like doing it as a child. I don't know if anybody else have this experience. You see, anytime me I do something and if anybody tell me if you do it, let's say even Shaki asks me if you do something, me feel like I do it again. But make me get up and say, okay, me want to do it by my own. At a time there, me feel the energy for do it. And I think, and I've learned tonight as well, I've never thought of it that way. And even speaking to you and Mark and others and our viewers, I realize, Shells, that maybe that little child, that inner Andrew, that young Andrew, the first never like when him father say, go rake up the yard, or the mother say, go rake up the yard, or go do whatever because I feel like it was a task. Even in my adulting times, right now as an adult, Shells, me I tell you the truth, if me feel like it is a task, me feel like me don't want to do it. Me supposed to make up my own mind for say, okay, I want to do it or I don't want to do it. I don't like when I'm told to do, and I'm not for with ego. I realize that is something that I need to heal from. And by speaking to you tonight, I realize that. So that's what I want. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying that we would be surprised, like how many of us need to, like, I think, well, one thing I love about my two kids, they are two selfless humans, and I observe it about them on more than one occasion where my son will come home and ask me for something, not for himself, but for his friend. Or my daughter will take something and or she'll come and say, me know somebody want this or somebody need that, and they will have their last and give it away. I love that about them. They are selfless. I think I did that part right. Sometimes I question the rest. But hear me I say, my father died when I was still in primary school. I did not have stability from he died. I didn't have it much before he died because he worked in Canada. But whenever he came, that was so awesome for me. You understand? It was ridiculously awesome when he was here. But there wasn't much stability because my mother worked in Kingston. I grew up with my grandmother, my two other siblings, and other cousins, about 5 other cousins. You understand? Where was this the consistency and the stability for me as a child? It was non-existent. How do I
Right.
create stability and consistency for my children when I have them? Because that's what children grow on. So them learn to trust and have healthy relationship when they have consistency and they have stability.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
That's
how
true.
we give the children that? How we give them that?
By first identifying what traumas you have and what you have transitioned with from childhood to adulthood. And first then find ways, research ways, and even having conversations. First of all, I think if I didn't understand about psychology today, I wouldn't pick up on something that me and as a 40-year-old man, Shells, still experiencing it. Never understood why, if somebody were to tell me to do something, I would feel as if, I am being told to do it and being watched over, and start having all sorts of questions in my head. So the fact that I understand that every single negative thing that is happening in our life psychologically and emotionally is coming from something. Anything that triggers us is coming from something, whether it's yesterday or 10 years or 15 or 20 years or 30 years or 35 years ago, it is coming from somewhere. No, if I didn't understand that, then I wouldn't identify to say, yo, blouse and skirt. So I could let that why I don't like when Shells tell me, say, if you go do this, become a feel pressured into doing it because I feel like I can't stop. I feel like I must do it this particular way. So to answer that question, Shells, we first have to acknowledge that we need to learn. We need to relearn. We need to rewire our brains to understand psychologically how to raise our kids and to make psychologically and emotionally healthy kids. As me say, me applaud you because you find it out. I mean, I found out some things, and that's why, I treat my kids in a different way, because me find it out, a little late in life, and I'm still learning as I go along. And as I said before, I think it would be, because when we have dinner, right, we would tell them about our experiences in terms of, where we have to go. Either, we would have to walk 2 miles to go to school. But when we're telling them that, it's not coming from a place of projection, we're sharing our experience. But when it comes to the case where, if you ever find yourself telling your kid about why they need to get up and go to school and should be happy enough to walk to school because I had to walk, the moment you put in because I had to, you're projecting.
Yeah.
The moment you have to put in, say, but me did this and me used to walk barefoot 10 miles, I would have to still go to school, so you try get up and come out here. You are projecting. And if you didn't know, now you know. It's unhealthy. Because you know what that child is going to do? Well, my mother says she used to this, or my father says she used to do, and me don't have to do it, so you better do it. That's a 3 generation of madness, Shells.
Have you ever, when your youngest child is how old?
4, which is Carter.
All right, so Carter is 4. When he was younger,
the more out there, Shells are just 4.
me never allude to no fact or anything. I would just ask the question. Don't do like I know now. When he was younger and you had to do things for him, right? Didn't you notice that at a couple of months old, or maybe between 9 and a year old, 9 months to a year, he started to push his hands through the clothes himself. So once he see you coming with the top, he hold him hands up, ready to put his hands through it. Or would take the socks and try to put it on for himself, amongst other things. That's a pattern. The child predicted what you are about to do.
Right.
Because you consistently do it that way.
Right.
Making the child recognize that this is what mommy and daddy does. When they're going to bathe you see them start to rub them own self, wash them face first, and you see like them start to, if you give them the rug, they start to soap themselves, because that's what they see you do in a consistent manner.
Hold on the Shells. So if me not wash a little boy your foot with the rag and the soap, he tell me, say, why me not wash?
They don't wash. He tells you that they haven't been washed.
You're right.
If you come home, you are consistent, like you work a 9 to 5, and by a certain time you would be home. You look and you see your child waiting for you, looking out the window, or waiting on, if you have a porch or something, they're waiting for you to come, and they'll meet you in the driveway. if so be the case, or when you open the door, daddy, and they run come, because you are consistent and predictable. That's security for a
Right.
child.
Right.
So those are the foundation things that we start with,
Mhm.
in a real life. When you teach them to potty and to potty properly, and the child do perhaps never put the butt properly on it and Jesus, you go crazy because he never did use the potty properly. When really you tell him, nice, good boy,
Mhm.
and you make him carry more potty, go dump it in the bigger toilet and do whatever from a child, just so that it builds that foundation for them, so that when they are the 14-year-olds age, it won't seem like a burden to do it, because they naturally have interest in doing it, because it has now formed a consistent habit. And them little
True.
something there, but we just, because we are not open to the information, and some of us are not privy to the information, some of us don't know, and we will never know. That's why it seems so hard to fix. But I know the material, something the people them want, Andrew. I know the material, something I know the tablet and the phone and them something them want, regardless of the fact that that's what we give them. That's not what they really, really need. Or else they're gonna come and struggle like you and I are doing. Because me messed up, If me are very cold-hearted, smart, me messed up. I mean, admit that every day. Me have trust issues. Me messed up. I just don't try to project that onto my children. Say, Avram, say, if I'm not home by a certain time because I may have stopped at the store before going home after work, my children call me and say, I'm late. So you get where I'm coming from. That's what builds good children, good characteristics in your children, because they can trust you that you're always going to be there for them, that you're going to love and care for them. That's how it starts from. I know the iPad, I know the iPhone. Trust me, but
True. That's
a
it.
lot of us are a
That's
lot
it,
of us
champs.
are walking around broken people. You
We are.
understand?
We are,
But
man. And it's
so,
it's, it's crazy.
we can we sometimes we don't teach with children that failure is a part of life. We don't normalize failure for our children, Andrew. We make it seem like them always have to win. We playing games with them, and we make them win on purpose because we don't want them to cry and for them to lose. We have to teach them something there. We
Yeah, I
first have to
was
teach the children to be proud people.
I
You
was
understand?
I was
Proud.
it's
Go
funny how you
ahead.
said that, because I was battling with that thing with my 4-year-old. He always wants to win. And I even said to Shaki, I said, yo, listen, I'm gonna have to stop doing that, because when he goes out in the real world, people are not gonna make him win if him not fi win. So we have to go psychologically to try to condition him to make him know, say, yo, listen, brother, work so out
Yep.
in our world. And a lot of us, when we graduate, and not from high school, but when we graduate from living at home, when we graduate from being in our zone of comfort and go out there in the real world, we say with this entitlement type of mentality, because our parents
Yep.
made us feel entitled. I can
Yep.
remember, I went on somebody's set as an assistant director, Shells. I mean, a grown man them time there. I went on somebody's set as an assistant director. On my set, I am the director. So me get pamper, me get love, me get whatever. Because that's my comfort zone. Me going at people in zone, I want coffee. And expected the person who was doing craft service was supposed to stop making the other person's coffee and made mine and give it back to me. And I mean, I didn't say it to her, but in my head, me I say, yo, why should I take so long? Why should I just stop and make mine so we can go back to what we did I do? And she uttered something, and I kind of felt away. But she said to me, listen, a 2-1 me have, and me I do something right to so. And I had to realize that it's not my home, meaning that it's not my project. I am just a worker, just like she. And guess what? At an entitlement, something that where me get so used to being in charge, when me go a craft service and because me have to go back to my work, them prioritize giving me my coffee or giving me whatever me got it for in a work. So we have to sometimes understand, say, we carry over, as I said, transition with that entitlement thing where you say, when we check, when we make the picnic feel like, say, them fi always win. When they go to school and picnic, butt up them ass, when them run left them ass in a shop, they come from my ball, you know. Oh, you gotta deal with that. Oh, Christopher ran leave me today because Christopher faster than you, but I wanted to win. I said that to my 4-year-old, but I wanted to win. He didn't make me win. Nah. And I said, go brother, me picnic come home and I say, boy, they didn't let me use the bike, but I don't fear bike. So me have to give him the reality, and you're right. Oh, it's okay. All right, come home and ride your bike. No, tell the picnic say a theme bike. A school bike, and they supposed to share between him and every other picnic. Him not feel entitled. But then again, Shells, if we don't know how we are going to instill it in our picnic. We're out of time, 1:45. I mean 1 hour 45. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for your reasoning. It's a pleasure.
Anytime, yeah.
Thank you so much. See you on Tuesday.
Yeah, thanks to everybody that participated and shared and locked on. Appreciate it.
I want to big up this. I want to highlight this comment before I go because we haven't seen much from Avram tonight. I mean, she just tuning in and she coming where I run. She said, "True Val, my almost 26-year-old daughter has been on her own 1 year now, and when I asked her how is adult life, she responded hard. I thought to myself, but you thought you had it bad living with me, huh?"
A lot of us would stop adulting right now.
You mean? Just stated none whatsoever. Can't bother with it. It's too hard, bro. It's too hard. It's too hard, man. Guys, you haven't been seeing us for the past couple of weeks, but of course, we want to thank you so much. And tonight's show is sponsored by Jamaica Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Their helpline is always open. All you got to do is dial 1-800-598-7607, www.jcadv to check out their website. Shells, thank you. Mark Anthony, thank you. All our viewers, listeners, thank you so much. Shells, what? Good year next week.
Yeah, man, you too.
All right, cool, people. Yeah. Peace out. This has been another episode of VAL'S Views Live. I'm out of here. Have a great night.
Of Child Month 2022. A proud sponsor of VAL'S Views Live podcast. This episode is sponsored by the Jamaica Coalition Against Domestic Violence.
And welcome to the Rise and Shine show on a Monday morning with your host, AV. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's 75 degrees here in Kingston, Jamaica. And there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on the Mandela Highway. Will the kids get to school on time? Remember, the kids are the future.
Daddy, how come you never wake me up this morning?
Morning to you too, ma'am.
Morning, Daddy. But me go late for go school now.
Why you feel late when you're not in school for go? I don't have no money for send you here. You never get paid this week.
So I not go school for this week?
Not until next week.
But Daddy, 2 other week are test week. I can't afford for miss the entire week. How me I go do my test them?
Listen me. What you want me to do? Eh? You want me to borrow it? Thief it? Or you want me to go beg it? Just come over here, some man. Come cut piece of bread, drink little tea, and go read a book or something.
For all the parents who can't afford to send their children to school, there is the power.
Daddy, you hear that?
Parents, don't worry, the government, will be able to assist you in sending your kids to school just in case, you won't be able to send them for a week or two. The government is here to assist you. This is AV, and it is Good Morning, Jamaica. It's Rise and Shine.
A special message from JCADV in recognition of Child Month 2022. A proud sponsor of VAL'S Views Live podcast.
Welcome to VAL'S Views Live podcast. Real news, real talk, real views. Join us weekly for social, political, and religious commentaries, analytically dissecting viral news and more. When they mix it, we'll fix it. Unorthodox and unfiltered views. This is VAL'S Views Live, the podcast edition. Saturdays, 7 p.m. Watch it live in Jamaica on Hype TV and across the Caribbean. Stream it live on Facebook, YouTube. Don't miss it.